Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wicked Good Sports, and welcome back to A View from the Cheap Seats, where we talk about the week that was in the NFL and the biggest stories coming out of it. And starting off with the Cincinnati Bengals, who were victorious against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but lost more than just a game, as Adam Schefter is reporting that Joe Burrow will be needing surgery on his foot, and he will be out for potentially 3 months. So, once again, I think this is 3 out of 6 seasons in his career. Joe Burrow is going to have a season ending injury. Last year was healthy, the year before had a tendon issue, and it's just a very disappointing outcome for the Cincinnati Bengals and for Joe Burrow as a whole, right? I mean, look at he's this extremely talented quarterback, somebody who is kind of a face of the league in a way, and every other year he's out, but we know how good he can be. We know that he got them to a Super Bowl. We know that he got them to an AFC Championship game. But as the years go on and these injuries accumulate and he can't be relied on to be available, there's got to be a little bit of like, what are we doing here? I mean, the Dolphins are in a very similar situation. Granted, Joe Burrow has played much better when he's healthy than Tua, but when, Tua plays, you're always worried that he might get hurt for the season, and that was the case for Joe Burrow. Here, where do they go from here? Where do the Bengals go? I think it's pretty clear that they need to make a move. I mean, they're 1-1 or 2-0, actually. They don't need to panic, but without Joe Burrow, I'm sure they are. And I think that the name that makes the most amount of sense is Jameis Winston, the Giants' backup quarterback. I mean, look, Jameis Winston's not going to start. Russell Wilson's the starter. He had a great game yesterday, despite the Giants ultimately losing. But eventually, if anybody's going to replace Russell Wilson, it's going to be Jackson Dart, right? So where does that leave Jameis Winston? I mean, I guess unless both those players get hurt, there's no real need for him to step in. So I would imagine that the Bengals could call up the Giants and work out a deal and, roll with Jameis Winston. Will it work out for sure? I don't know, but it'll be fun. Jameis Winston's a very fun quarterback, if nothing else. Him throwing to Jamar Chase, they could put up some pretty mind-boggling numbers. I mean, Jamar Chase already is always putting up mind-boggling numbers, so I think that's the route the Bengals should go. I'd love to hear your thoughts about where you think the Bengals should go. And yeah, just a very, very unfortunate situation for the Cincinnati Bengals. So for the first time in years, since 2021, the Kansas City Chiefs, who are now 0-2 after losing to the Eagles once again, are not the favorite to win the AFC West. And, coming into this season, I think we all expected the Chiefs to be just as good as they've been. Even if last year kind of felt like fluky, where they won so many games that they could have lost, perhaps should have lost. This year, it really feels like this team is a step down from the Chiefs that we've seen in the past. I think that, Patrick Mahomes is still great. Travis Kelce is still pretty good. They don't really have good receivers at the moment. Rashee Rice, obviously, suspended for the first 6 games due to that car crash he caused. And then Xavier Worthy, who I do think is a good player, he is injured because of Travis Kelce. And, Kareem Hunt, solid running back, but not like a star running back at this point in his career. So, I mean, the Chiefs don't have much on the offensive side. The defense is fine. They're not great. But, they're a Travis Kelce, a Chris Jones, or Patrick Mahomes injury from being in a very dire position. this season. And it just feels like, I'm never going to count the Chiefs out until like they're for real, like out. They could go on a 15-game winning streak from here on out. And I don't think any of us would necessarily be too surprised, but they just don't feel like the juggernaut that they felt like in the past. And I think that this is the year that a team like the Chargers, who beat them in week 1, could dethrone the Chiefs as they're the favorite to win betting odds wise. What are your thoughts? Do you think the Chiefs can turn it around and will be a better squad going forward? Let me know in the comments. Finally, wrap this video up with a subject that, I don't really want to talk about, but you know what? I'd be doing a disservice to the internet at large by not talking about it. My Dolphins are at a point where they probably should panic. So I wrote about it on Dolphins Talk, where this felt like a turning point, not only in the game when Devon Achane stepped out of bounds, which it was a turning point because the Dolphins tied the game up there, could potentially gotten the lead with the extra point, could have potentially won and been 1-1. But if they had done that, it feels like it could have been a turning point for the season. 1-1, Thursday night game against the Bills. Thursday night, who knows what can happen? They're playing for first place. Maybe they're in first place. Probably not, but at least there's a little bit of hope, right? That didn't happen. They're 0-2. They're probably going to get destroyed by the Bills. And who knows after that? Does Mike McDaniel get fired? Does Chris Grier get fired? Certainly people will be calling for their heads. There were already people flying banners over the stadium asking for them both to be fired. But it also feels like it's kind of a turning point for the franchise, right? This rebuild began in 2019. We all remember the tank for Tua year, the year that a lot of us thought, like, okay, we got to hit rock bottom so we can get to the top. And in 2023, it felt like they had successfully done it, right? They had traded Laramie Tunsil, got a ton of draft picks, gotten Tua. He was looking good, got a new head coach in Mike McDaniel. He's revolutionizing the offensive game, not just for the Dolphins, but around the league with his motions and all of that. And the Dolphins are destroying teams. They're winning 70-20, could have been 73-20, but they didn't want to kick that extra field goal to go ahead and set the record for karma's sake. Karma didn't matter. We haven't had any good karma since that game, so it is what it is. Should have just kicked the field goal to get the record at this point. But it felt like things had gone right, and then ever since then, the Dolphins have been mediocre to now they're kind of just bad, and it's disappointing. It's not what you want to see, but Thursday night against the Bills could be a very dark day for the Miami Dolphins and their franchise and a turning point. If you want more on that, check out my latest article at dolphinstalk.com, where I kind of went more in depth into this whole idea. And we'll see what happens on Thursday. God, I hope they win, but I'm pretty sure they won't. Let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. And we will see what week 3 has to show for it. Let me know what you want me to cover for the rest of the week. If there's anything you really want to hear me talk about, leave that in the comments. Other than that, subscribe to the channel if you liked this. Subscribe to the main channel where you get everything, and our podcasting channel, Better Radio. I will see you in the next one.